Tonight, we are pulling back the curtain and addressing some of your concerns right now. WCPO 9 News Director Mike Cannon is joining me this evening in the interest of transparency. I want to thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. Let's get first to a criticism of our 1-hour special last night, From Protests to Solutions. You had a real concern about one thing in particular. What was that?
Sure. The number of times that the murder of Mr. Floyd was shown, particularly the fact that it was his last moments of life.
When I see the video, I see someone who is trapped and powerless beneath a man who seems comfortable doing so. And that is such an extreme trigger that I have been having flashbacks.
And with clarification on that second case, she told me she has had PTSD and worries about everyone else the video might trigger too. We aired the video showing Mr. Floyd and the police officer 4 times. In retrospect, was that a few too many, Mike?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think one of the things that just in general is we generally avoid showing the last moments of people's lives when people are killed.
Yeah.
And then in the instances we would use it, it would be to really establish a key point and a key moment. And in this case, to show what law enforcement was doing in this case.
Right.
But I think you can make that point by showing that video 1 time, not 4 times. In fact, we've had lots of discussions around making sure we aren't using that video over and over and over again. But sometimes things slip through, we make mistakes.
Yeah, and we will be very thoughtful going forward, for sure. On to the next concerns. These were related to reporter Courtney Francisco's live shot last night. I want you to take a look.
Okay, we're getting pushed out. Out. Okay, we are. We are. Okay.
About that, one woman wrote, quote, "When police ask you to leave, you need to leave. It is as simple as that." Another wrote, "How about the protesters on the sides throwing rocks at the police? I guess you'll see what you want to see." Okay, getting to that second comment first, I think we have been talking about aggression toward police.
Yeah, absolutely we have. In that instance, you know, there was caught on video someone throwing a rock in the background. We've talked about people throwing water bottles at law enforcement. We've tried to make sure that we're focusing on what's happening. I mean, that's our role, is to make sure that we see what's happening out there and we relay it to all of you out there in the audience. So I don't think there's anything that we have shied away from when it comes to those actions.
We're there to document history,
Absolutely.
to be that fly on the wall, and to be people's eyes and ears.
Absolutely, and there are people out there who are being more aggressive than others, and there's a huge portion of the protesters out there who are not being violent and who are being respectful and following all law enforcement orders.
And now I want to specifically get to Courtney's live shot. Was it as simple as obeying the law and moving, or no?
Yeah, no, I don't think it was that simple at all. And
Okay.
in fact, you know, as I've spent a lot of time reviewing the video of what happened and the transcript and talking to our team, we had a team of 3 journalists that were out there, so it was Courtney and 2 others. And really what it came down to is our reporter and our team was told to step back and get on the sidewalk. We stepped back and got on the sidewalk. But what you can't see in the video that played live on TV is all the things that are going around in the periphery there.
Sure.
So you can't see behind the camera. What you can't see is that basically we were hemmed in with law enforcement on 3 sides and a building to our back, and there was really nowhere for us to go. So our team was being told, stay back, stay back, stay back, but didn't have a clear direction on what the police wanted us to do. The last thing we want to do is get in the way. First of all, we don't want to put our team in harm's way in any way.
Sure.
Second of all, we don't want to get in the way of law enforcement trying to do their job. Our job is to be there and to report on the facts and to report on what's happening in our community, and their job is to keep people safe. And we don't want those 2 things to get crosswise with each other.
2 very important points. And we're going to get to the last discussion point right now. A woman wrote, "What the press is doing now is like throwing gasoline on the fire. Does the press ever think they are inciting this even more by their coverage?" Mike, how much thought do we give to where we send crews, when we send crews, and how we're covering something?
Absolutely. We have a lot of discussion around what is news and how do we do it? First of all, just again, the fear of our crew's safety is really important to us. But in general, we want to make sure that people understand what's happening in our community. And I've heard this complaint multiple times. This is probably the most frequent complaint we're getting right now from our audience is, if you just ignore them, they'll go away. And I don't think that that's fair. First of all, it's important what's happening in our community. What happened Friday night with the businesses downtown and over the Rhine absolutely needs to be documented. There are people who were already struggling because of COVID-19 and now they have damage to their business and it just makes them harder for them to live their lives. But secondly, I think it's important for us to document the peaceful protests.
Oh yeah.
I think it's important for us to document the concerns the protesters have. All of those things are part of what's going on in our community, and you use the phrase documenting history. They're part of the history of this moment in time. And I think when we look back on this moment in time, these are going to be things that people remember, and it's important for us to make sure that those stories are told and that those points of view are expressed.
We are just about out of time, but this is a First Amendment issue too.
It absolutely is.
Okay.
We need to make sure that people have the right to protest and have the right to share their voices as long as they're not violent. And again, I want to make sure that we are clear that in no way are any of the people who work at WCPO here condoning any kind of violence.
Right.
But we do recognize the First Amendment right to protest and to share those voices. And then we have a First Amendment right
to cover it.
To cover that. That's protected by the Constitution.
All right. Mike Cannon, thank you for doing that, and we'll have you back on the show if you'll be here. So.
Great, glad to do it.
Okay, thanks so much.